Social networking sites have become a huge phenomenon in today's society. With over 400 million active users on Facebook alone, this mode of communication is slowly becoming the most dominantly used. But what makes these sites so appealing, and why have they become as popular as they have? Today, we'll look through the eyes of multiple media theorists to explain this enormous trend of social networking sites. Our first theorist will be Marshall McLuhan, and we'll be studying his idea of the media tetrad. While questioning mediums, he looked at the following questions. What does the medium enhance? What does the medium make obsolete? What does the medium retrieve that had been obsolete before? What does the medium flip into when pushed to the extreme?
We can take a look at Facebook using these 4 questions in order to look at the effects of this media.
Social contact. Not necessarily the quality, but definitely the quantity. You can be connected to all 366 of your friends at the same time. You can read their About Me sections, take a look at their pictures to see what they did last weekend. The quality of relationships. Before the internet, people would either have to meet face-to-face or pick up the phone in order to get news from their friends or family. This personal contact creates more intimate relationships, as opposed to ambiguous text written through the computer. Remember that kid that sat beside you in 4th grade that smelled kind of funky? Well, he's just sent you a friend request on Facebook, and he is much cuter now. Facebook can reestablish friendships of those people who you used to know but may have lost their address or phone number. Facebook originally started as a social networking site limited to only students at Harvard University. Eventually, it was expanded to anybody in the world over the age of 13. There has been some controversy over Facebook, however, and it has been banned in several countries. Privacy issues and blocking the site at certain locations, such as school or work, have also occurred since the expansion of Facebook. Our next theorist will be Harold Innis. Through his study of media, he coined the term space and time-binding media. Time-binding media can be stone or clay tablets, hard copy manuscripts, or oral and epic poems. These medias tend to focus more on stability, community, tradition, or religion. Space-binding media includes more modern media, such as radio, television, and mass-produced newspaper. They focus more on rapid change, materialism, secularism, and empire. When looking at social networking websites, you can argue that they fit into both types of Harold Innis's media. Social networking sites were originally formed to bring people together and to give them an easy way of communicating with each other when face-to-face contact wasn't possible. This seems like a focus on some form of tradition to me. On the other hand, all of these websites are constantly evolving to fit the needs of their users. They cater to a large audience and could be coined with the adjective mass. These characteristics would cause one to lean more towards a space-binding media when talking about social networking sites. Innis claims that for a culture to be balanced, they must use both space and time-binding media. He tried to show that media biases towards space or time affected the complex interrelationships needed to sustain an empire. Social networking websites seem to fit perfectly into Innis's theory of space and time-binding media. It has a balance between the two, including rituals and a constant changing layout. Chomsky's theory of manufacturing consent goes like this. The elite filter their ideas through the mass media and are distributed to the masses. The internet has played a big part in flipping over this pyramid of control, and social networking sites have also had an impact. The elite used to be the only power with access to the media. Therefore, they could control whatever the masses read, heard, or saw in the media. With the internet being such an expressive and uncontrollable media, this is allowing the masses to also have access to the mass media. Since there is such a large number of people on the internet, there is no way the elite could flip the pyramid back or even filter what the masses are saying. On social networking sites, Users have the opportunity to say whatever they want. Facebook groups have made news stories, and events from these sites are always in the news. More than 35 million Facebook users update their statuses daily. This is a whole lot of opinion, information, or just nothingness that is being shared with the world, without a filter and without the gatekeeping power of the elite. Chomsky's pyramid of manufacturing consent is being flipped over because of the Internet. There has never been a media as free as this one. The main concept of the Internet, expressive freedom, goes against the manufacturing consent theory. There shouldn't be an elite expressing only their ideas. On the Internet and on social networking sites, the masses are free to express themselves. The imagined community is a concept by Benedict Anderson, which states that a nation is a community socially constructed, which is to say imagined by the people who perceive themselves as a part of that group. Social networking sites and the communities created within them would be considered imagined communities because they are not based on face-to-face communication between members. Instead of having a physical connection between members, they hold a mental idea of the connectivity. Imagined communities are also somewhat based in shared interests. Facebook and other social networking sites suggest friends or group members by their linked interests. You can search your friends to find common interests and create a bond within the community with them. While imagined communities are usually based within nations whose members are grouped because of their location, social networking sites are becoming like their own nation. To be a part of these sites is like to be a part of that community. However, a community is usually defined as a group of people living in a particular local area. Thanks to the Internet, this definition, along with Anderson's idea of the imagined community, has changed. Communities are no longer based on solely location. They are now based on demographics and participation. The Internet connects the entire world through its cyberspace. Even though we may never see anyone in our imagined community, we still know they are there through communication.
Neil Postman recorded a video in 1995 in which he discusses the idea of cyberspace as a place other than our consciousness where our mind is located.
He also talked about how he prefers and feels that face-to-face communication is better than any other form of communication. He believes that the Internet is a solution to a non-existent problem, similar to how cruise control is apparently a solution to the problem of having to have your foot on the gas pedal, which doesn't seem like a problem to most people. However, there was a problem in society that the Internet solves. Previously, we, as consumers, were just a passive audience, allowing corporations to influence us, our minds, and our buying habits. With the invention and globalization of the Internet, the habits of consumers have changed. They now participate in the expressive freedom of the Internet and express their opinions and ideas, no matter how much they conflict with those of the major corporations. Social networking sites were a big part of allowing people to have freedom, especially over communication. They could now choose who to befriend and who to allow to see their information. It has also changed the means of communication. Before the Internet, it was very seldom that you saw someone carrying on more than one different conversation with more than one different person. Thanks to social networking sites, as well as email sites, you can now be communicating with more than one person at a time. Communication is also done in your own time. There is time to think about your responses as opposed to having to give the first answer that comes to your mind in face-to-face communication. So the problem that the Internet solved may not have been obvious to Neil Postman, but now that it's on the verge of being solved, he really has nothing to complain about. Social networking sites are a part of many people's everyday lives. Most people don't take the time to consider the perks of these sites or the reasons behind some of their infrastructures. Theorists for years have been studying the media, not necessarily the Internet or social networking websites. However, their theories still apply to these modern-day technologies.